So if you've been following the gold market, especially this past week, you know that the price was basically in a downtrend, and we can see very perfectly that the analysis from last week played out really well. So if you're looking for a game plan for this upcoming week for gold, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to talk about my entries, my exits, and my profit targets for this market. So as usual, let's just jump right in. And since we have some really great analysis from last week, we're just going to clean up this analysis for this week. So starting on the weekly time frame as usual, let's just take a quick look at some of the candle movement, just so that way we can get a sense of what could happen for next week. So generally this week, since we closed bearish, I'll generally be looking for bearish moves for next week. So this is the weekly. For right now, there's nothing that I want to change because everything is looking pretty good. So let's just go ahead and go to the daily time frame. And just for clarity's sake, let's just go ahead and clean off some of these, just so that way we can easily see price action. And then also I'm going to get rid of these 100 alerts that I put on this market, just because I wanted to make sure that I caught some moves, and I did catch a couple of moves on gold. So really cool there. If you are tired of missing out on gold, in this blueprint, you're going to get an easy to follow profitable gold trading table, as well as profitable entry levels and strategies. If you've tried to decode things like FOMC, geopolitical events, you may have tried without much success. And in this blueprint, you're also going to master simple strategies that the big players like banks and institutions follow, and then also be able to spot profitable opportunities, so that way you could avoid some of the common traps that other traders fall into. And then of course, you're going to save hours of research with a clear and actionable plan inside of the gold market. Just take a look at what some people are saying about this. So go ahead and grab your copy of the Profitable Gold Market Blueprint today. But basically, if we look at the price action here, we can see that price is generally clean. So I'm going to go ahead. Now we can see all the levels to call out these levels, so that way you can mark up your charts if you wasn't with us last week, or if you just want to clean up your charts for the upcoming week. So now that we're on the daily, the first level is at 3,500 flat. The next yellow level is at 34.35. The next yellow level is at 33.60. The next level is at 32.88. And the next level here is at roughly 3,200 flat. And then this level all the way down here, you can see that price almost tapped into it this past week. It is sitting at 31,004. So we do have some other levels, but I'll call those out as we get to the other time frames. So these are the main levels here on the daily time frame. So far, everything I'm seeing looks really good, and there's nothing that I want to change. So let's go ahead and see if we want to change something here on the H4 time frame. So just again, starting from the top, this is looking good, and price didn't get anywhere up here. So there's really no need for us to change anything above here. Actually, let me clean this up because we're going to have fresh analysis for this week. And we can see that price gapped down. So this no trade zone for me was at 32.88, and then it went all the way down to 32.74. So that was that area. And so far, this is still looking good. This is still looking true for me. So I don't want to change that. Although I do see some things that I want to change on a lower time frame. But for right now, we're looking really good on the H4. So let's go to the H2 time frame. Let's clean up our charts. Basically starting from where price opened up this past week. Now we can see a lot more structure here. If we look over to the left, we can see exactly why we placed this level. And then I actually see something coming up for this upcoming week that looks really interesting that I'll talk about in a second here. But for right now, this is actually looking really good. However, I do want to add another level here. I'm going to use my horizontal ray tool. And basically I see this area of resistance right here and rejection. I actually did, let's see, was this yesterday? Yeah, I did take a trade in here, a short-term trade that worked out. So that was pretty cool. But we're going to place this level at 32.40. And then we can see our key level here. And then we do see another level. I am going to place a level right here at 31.54 because we have a nice support. And then just looking at this level that we drew, if we go all the way to the left, I just want to see if price lines up. It does. However, the price movement from this past week is a lot more relevant. So I'm just going to take the same level and just move it up. And now we're sitting sitting at 31.23. So really nice support here. And this was a really strong move. So definitely want to keep that in mind for this upcoming week. So now let's go to the H1 time frame. And if we start once again where price started at the beginning of the week, we can see that price still looking really good. Now this new level that we drew, let's zoom in. This new level that we drew, now I want to adjust it because now I have a lot more data. I see a very clear resistance level right here. So I'm just going to take this level and move it up to that resistance. And now we're sitting at 32.51, really close to 32.50. So if you just wanted to move it that way, you can as well. But this is how it looks on my chart and I really like it. So now I'm actually seeing a lot more detail. So let's go ahead and mark off another level that I see at 32.22, mainly because of the same reason. We see a nice resistance here and then a really strong rejection before it pushed all the way down here. So for right now, this is looking really good as far as all the different zones that I want to draw. One thing I'd like to do is make sure that I have enough range for my trades because I'm typically targeting about 100, 200 pips in the market and I want to make sure that I have big enough zones so that way I can catch those moves. So this one I'm really interested in. This is about 177 pips here, so that looks great. And then if we measure this area up here, we can see that this is more than enough at 282 pips. So I'm very satisfied with the zones that I drew. So now we're at this level where price has closed for the week. We stopped at this level of 32.02 roughly, and essentially what we have here is this really strong looking bullish candle, but it's right at a resistance level. So it'll be really interesting to see how price plays out for next week. And one thing I want to draw is actually I do see a little level of support, so I do want to mark that off because this could be really important for our trade depending on how things play out when the market opens again. But because we have a support here, what I'd be looking for is a short if price was to break and close below this support, and this support is sitting at 31.87, and we can see that we have quite a bit of range all the way down here. So my first trade idea would be the short opportunity if price came to this level and broke, and we can see that this is 319 pips inside of the market, which could be really good for our trade idea. And then of course the next trade idea if price was to continue down was to target this next level of support at 31.24. So this other target right here is sitting at 31.55. I didn't call that out, so I wanted to make sure I call that out, 31.55. And then this one right here is at 31.25. So really nice range for all of these, but I would be interested in buys, of course, if price was to give some sort of signs of bullish momentum. I've created another community here on School called Consistent Profitable Traders. And if you want to join, you can go to school.com/traders in order to join this free membership. I have a number of things here inside of the community. You can see that the community is growing. There are people being added almost every single day. And then inside of the classroom, I do have some things here. I'm constantly adding new things, new resources for new traders. And if you go over to the calendar, then you'll see that I have a monthly call with everybody inside of this group. So if you want to join this community, go ahead and go to school.com/traders and I'll see you there. And for me, I would feel a lot more comfortable buying above the 32.22 level, mainly because it's kind of iffy in this whole zone. So you can see that price did have some bullish action, but then it did form this wick and then totally reversed or went down. And basically what I'd be looking for here, let me mark this off, I would feel a lot more comfortable above this level right here. So this zone right here, essentially for me, depending on how price looks, would be a no trade zone for me for sure. And here we go, no trade zone. And let me move my, get another arrow, because now I would be interested in buys more so above this level of 32.31. That's where that wick stopped, and that's where I wanted to mark off my no trade zone. So let's just see if I got enough room to go up to the top. And yes, this is almost 200 pips, definitely enough range for me to get some sort of movement out of this if price decided to push up here. So very happy with that trade idea. And then of course, if price was to continue to push, push, then I would be looking for continued buys from this 3250 zone all the way up to 3275, 74. So still enough range here. Now, if it got up here to my previous no trade zone, and you can see that price consolidated in this area, so it was actually a really good call on my part. But basically, this zone doesn't look all that wide, and if there was a lot of momentum that just blasted past this up to this level, then yeah, that would be cool to hold if I'm already in the trade. But as far as starting a new trade from here to here would not be ideal for me. So essentially, this is my game plan for this upcoming week on gold. If you like this type of video, then go ahead and subscribe, because at this point I am creating these videos every single week. And if you like Nas 100, then go ahead and tune in tomorrow, because I will do a similar breakdown on that market, so that way you can potentially catch some moves there as well. I'll see you there.